I'm here to bring you Yogananda's Whispers from Eternity, which we offer at 12 o'clock noon every weekday. And today's reading is, or today's prayer demand is number 162, the demand to control the unruly senses. I'm just double checking to make sure I have the right one, but yes, that's the one. And in this particular segment, where we're dealing with ways to overcome or gain control of different aspects of our errand nature, the readings tend to be, the prayer demands tend to be longer, I've found. So bear with me. O Spirit, let me not feed my insatiable sense cravings with further wrong deeds. Teach me to discipline myself that I think always in terms of my true happiness. If my senses become unruly, teach me to govern my will, not to cooperate with them and their desires, to feed them only wholesome acts. As electricity can either illuminate or destroy a building, so human power can either glorify or devastate a life. Let me learn then to govern wisely the finite forces thou hast entrusted to me, that each of them, with this twofold potency, be directed only toward good. Let the greedy flames of all my desires consume their own dross, not by self-indulgence, but by self-offering into the white heat of thy wisdom. Teach me, O Spirit, to cooperate with thy will, to perform every duty harmoniously, and to sing the one little song thou hast given me to sing, until all my unruly senses learn to join happily in full harmony with thy cosmic plan. Let the rivulets of all my sense cravings be transmuted into the one mighty river of soul craving. And, O Spirit, spare not thy rod of discipline, if ever I stray again toward the senses and away from my true path of craving for thee. Well, wow again. This one is also very, very powerful if we're going through a period of having desires and having sense cravings, whatever they might be. It could be for certain activities, it could be for food, it could be for, God forbid, alcohol, drugs, all kinds of sense cravings that we go through in life. And we all go through them in some manner to some degree, and if not in this life, in some life. So it's good to know what resources we have in Whispers from Eternity to turn to very specifically when we're going through something like this. And he gives a hint in here. He talks about, I forget exactly where the words are, the twofold potency. Let's go towards the good. In other words, we live in duality. And we need to remember that whenever we're going through something, anything, the opposite is also true. So we can choose in any given moment, whether we're going to give in to that desire, give in to that craving, or whether we're going to pick up whispers from eternity and look for inspiration and guidance to take us toward goodness. And there's, of course, a million other ways we have for turning toward goodness. It's good to have these tools, though, at our disposal and at the ready, to have some books of inspiration in your home, to have some wisdom. And these days you can find it in, recordings, in inspirational videos. There's, beautiful movies that can be watched that leave us feeling uplifted. And there is a whole lot of the opposite kind of, whether either trashy movies, or most of us aren't drawn to trashy movies, but they can be movies with lesser dignified characters in them. They can be speaking to creating more and more desires in us. There can be a million commercials and subliminal kinds of images we're presented with to create more desires. I can't even begin to list them all. But if we create in our home an altar, a place to pray and meditate, inspirational books, some inspirational movies, and things we can turn to, so that when we do find our senses becoming unruly, we have these things at our ready access, and we can bring that duality, let's say, back to center by going toward the goodness in that moment. And so we have choices. We have choices which people we spend time with. We have choices where we work, what kind of work we do. We think we don't have choices, but we do have choices. And once we start living our lives more consciously, we can exact those choices. We can live in that way. And you find yourself, I know I find myself, I pinch myself every day. I live in a city, in the world, but I live consciously in community with others of like mind, and they are uplifting friends. I've chosen my neighbors to be people who are good-hearted and who choose good-heartedness. We're not perfect, none of us are perfect, but we're all doing our best to move in the same direction. And so we have choices in all of these ways. And I encourage you, I support you to live your life more consciously and to choose goodness, to choose the light. And I'm happy that we had this very intense whispers from eternity about the unruly senses today. So it gives us something to turn to. Bless you, and we'll see you again tomorrow.